Hey, you guys, hope you're well. I just wanted to take this opportunity and let you know about our amazing new business scalability scorecard. So have you ever wondered if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, and you want to grow and scale the business, but not sure how, and you're looking for some advice and you're looking for some strategies about how you could effectively grow and scale your business? Well, this is your opportunity. We have actually created an amazing business scalability scorecard. It'll take you around 7 to 8 minutes. And at the end of that, it will actually create a report of all of the things that you're doing particularly well in and the things that you need to make improvements to your business. And it's a great tool and a great asset for your business. To get free access to that, go to bit.ly/business-scalability-scorecard. Go there, go now. Take care, see you soon.
This is the Game Changers Experience. Deep dive conversations with leading business disruptors, Olympic athletes, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and influencers from around the world. This show will teach you insights about the winning principles in mindset, productivity, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, business strategy, and more. Hosted by Productivity Authority, business strategist, former elite athlete, author, and public speaker, Adam Strong.
Hello, everybody, and welcome with myself, Adam Strong. Listen, here we go. All right, ladies and gents. So before I bring on stage my good friend, who's actually, believe it or not, and I talked about this before, right? Clubhouse, right? So I'm a big fan of Clubhouse. I actually met this gentleman on Clubhouse, believe it or not. And if it wasn't for Clubhouse, I would have never met him. But one thing that I learned about him is that I love his no bullshit, just life and business, really. And he's just a really down-to-earth human being, but he's also a really humbling human being, you know, and I love that about him. Is great. His name is Glenn Flashman. His name is also, or AKA, the Tattoo Tycoon. Now you're probably thinking, what a name, Tattoo Tycoon. I want that. And the reason why is because I believe it's 70% is covered in tattoos, or it might be more than that. He's probably going to correct me when he comes on in a second. He's the UK CEO of the year, by the way. He's got a huge amount of business experience, by the way. I just want to let you know. It's 20 plus years, I believe, and he's got a lot of great experience in the retail industry in particular. And he's created an amazing methodology as well, which we'll talk about in terms of retail support and stuff like that. So put your hands together for Mr. Glenn Flashman. Woo!
Wow, what an intro.
How's that, mate?
I'm good. How are you, buddy? Sorry about the technical hitches that we had with Safari and other stuff, but it's all sorted. We're here.
It's all good. So, by the way, I love your hat.
Have you not got one of these?
No, mate, I haven't. I love that tycoon, and is it orange black?
Yeah, we've got hold on, we've got loads of these different ones. We've got. Do you know what? I'll send you one. We've got gold, orange, and they're different for our mentor programs. So.
Love it. I prefer the gold one because it's kind of more branded towards me. And then anyway, everyone deserves to be a gold person.
You know what? The funny enough, the gold ones are only for influencers, so I should definitely have to send you one.
Love it. Interestingly enough, listen, mate, great to share a bit of time with you on here. I know you're an extremely busy individual, especially this week and everything. And we've been missing you on Clubhouse this week, by the way. And me and our good friend Rory Atkinson over in South Africa, we always talk about you. And I'm like, oh, where's Glenn when you need him? Anyway, we've had some great conversations anyway. But listen, I know that you've got a lot of experience business-wise in particular. And you've been in the nightclub industry. You're in retail now. You've been, I think it's in beauty salons or hairdressing. Yep. Which is kind of more retail as well, which is really interesting. But I'd love to sort of get into the gist of this because you've also had a huge amount of, I couldn't say ups and downs.
We can say failures. Failures are good.
Yeah, we're going to call it business failure, or you can call it whatever you want. You can call it fuck up if you want. It's entirely up to you what you want to call it. But anyway, but listen, I'd love to talk about some of those business failures of yours and that kind of stuff, and how you, and how you kind of got into that type of thing. Oh, by the way, we got look who's just come online. Our good buddy Frank.
Here he is. I think I've got a call with Frank. I think it's next week. So if it's in his diary, Frank will have it for sure.
Wicked, definitely. But listen, let's talk a little bit about some of the I suppose not just mistakes, but I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the things that you discovered on your journey. Whether it be a good thing, a bad thing. Maybe give us some examples of some of those mess ups or whatever it is. What's your thoughts on that, Glenn?
I think I'm a completely different person than I was probably when in my early 20s when I started this journey. So I'm 49 this year, and the driver of business is hugely different. My take on how to be successful is also massively different. And it's quite funny being, 30 years in and you see the youngsters doing exactly the same shit as I did, really. So it's a case of trying to, sort of say, look, I've walked the walk. I've got that T-shirt you're wearing. I've got that with bells on. And I tell you now, if you carry on that way, yes, you'll have success, but you'll get to my age and regret some of it, and it'll cost you a lot of money. So I think my take is a lot different, and I think the biggest thing from that was that, in my early 20s, I thought I could do everything myself. I thought I could dominate the world, and it was a case of if there's a problem, I'm either going to go around it, over it, or through it. And I don't think I'm that person anymore. There's still a little bit of me that, if you gird on my loins a little bit, I do come out fighting. But I think it's a case of now I play the long game a lot more, which is before that was always seen as probably a sign of failure a little bit. And now, realistically, it's collaboration. It's a word that I didn't know probably until my mid-30s, I would say, or truly understood the word collaboration and the power of it. So that's the big thing that I'm trying to push forward now, I suppose, in terms of the businesses that we create, the businesses that we buy, the groups that we make, and then the groups that we sell off. It's all about that collaborative effort. And then again, in terms of the empire that we're trying to build, and some would say we have, but I'm not there yet, is trying to make that collaborative message really congruent with inside the organization. And I think if you don't understand that, you're going to make a lot of fuck ups. So I think mindset a little bit is the biggest key. Is the change. Is that being collaborative to any approach is way better.
Do you think that you mentioned back in your 20s, you were a different person where you are now? Do you feel that it was also an element of arrogance as well on your part of kind of thinking, I don't need this, I can do everything myself type of thing? What's your thought? What's your take on that?
I think a lot of it was nurtured. So just briefly, my background is I left school at fairly young, at 15. I didn't really care for GCSEs or O-levels, purely because I knew from 10 I was joining the army. So school was a bit of a marking time before I knew I was going to go and serve with the British Army. So I then joined an elite regiment. I joined the parachute regiment, so top 2% of the British Army. I excelled and I was very good at what I did inside that environment. So after a while, you're being told that you're the best of the best, and that does give you a kind of a false sense of purpose, I guess, in some ways. I then left the army, and I kind of got a job, literally again through a brother of my commanding officer that was in the city, and I became a junior management consultant. So I had 4 or 5 years of learning the ropes of management consultancy. And it was at the time of the dot-com boom. And I was the young buck in the office that was really aggressive and wanted to make a change and a difference and a name for himself. So they threw me all the .com investments to look at. And again, after a while, I was probably 25, 26 years old. I was on the Money Channel, if you remember the Money Channel, a lot as their .com guy. I literally everyone sort of basically telling me that I had this Midas touch of turning .coms into profit. So a lot of it is a nurture of, you now know me as the no bullshit guy and the no ego guy. But fuck me, I had a massive ego then. I really did, because everyone was feeding it. That was the thing. And so it was the case that created that, our collaboration. I can do this myself. I don't need anyone. And then the first bankruptcy happened, and that definitely pulled that rug from underneath me. And you then go, okay, this hurts. This hurts a lot.
What was that business? What was that business, Glenn?
So recruitment. I had quite a good recruitment company. I didn't understand cash flows as well as I did now. I didn't understand investment banks not paying in 30 days because, I'm Glenn Flashman. Of course they're going to pay me in 30 days. And 30 days very quickly becomes 180 days, and we're paying out contractors weekly at £2,000 a week, and we had over 100 contractors. You do the math. It was a huge loss. And I, literally, I remember that I just bought, I think, my first Porsche 911. I bought a house the year before, nearly £1 million house. Business was doing really well. It was all going good. And then 3 months before we went pop, I remortgaged the house, and the house was on the line and everything else. And literally the official receivers were called in on the Friday. Saturday morning, I'm in my single bed back at mum and dad's house.
My goodness me. Was it that quick? Jesus.
Oh, it was really quick. Yeah. It was really, really quick. And we tried as best we could to, make sure the staff were okay. And but it was just one of those things. And, asking my dad at the time for £300 to buy a Fiesta 1.1L to get around in, on, it was a big deal. And you kind of think, shit, actually, I'm not, I don't have this letter S on my chest. I do have a vulnerability, and it kind of, it made me change and look at things very, very differently.
How did that make you feel, having to start again?
That wasn't I suppose realistically, honestly, how it made me feel then at the time, and I remember the feeling very, very clear. The ego was still there. Fuck it, I'll prove them all wrong, and go get a way of just going out there and doing it again. But it was tinged with a little bit of, this is tough. If this happens again, then it's not a great thing. And lo and behold, 4 years later, it happened again.
Did you? I suppose your parents in particular and people around you, did they ever sort of cast doubt on your ability to be able to manage a business and have success all the time?
Yeah, everyone did. My parents were my biggest critics, and my friend group and my first wife at the time, they're the ones saying, what are you doing? Just stop. I'm like, no. And that wasn't. I've always had a self-belief, and I've always had a belief in other people, which I now think through some of the mentoring I do, is that I don't do what I call mindset, because I have a very unique way of dealing with mindset, and I think that comes out of serving with the British forces overseas in a war environment. So when we talk about fear, it's completely different fear than most people are talking about, and unfortunately, I've experienced that. And it's also about the self-belief part of it, that I genuinely, I believe that anybody, if they wanted to be an astronaut, they can be an astronaut. If I wanted to be a basketball player, physically I'm not tall enough, so I can't be a basketball player. I'd be a damn close good second if that's what I wanted to do.
Sure.
But that's the thing that I think that the generations that we're now seeing coming through, they have this limiting belief about themselves. And I don't know what's caused that. Because it was never that in, God, I'm sounding like my dad. It's never that in my day. You just got on with it and you just ground it out a little bit. I think we're a little bit more hardy. I think the generation that's now coming up is a little bit more delicate. And that has its plus points and it's also its negative points.
Do you feel like you are still that? Well, I know that you said that you've evolved and changed, but do you still feel like you've got that feeling of invincibility?
No, I don't think I'm invincible at all. I think now what would happen is I pick my battles a lot more. I think I said it was also that I take everything from a longer term view or a bird's eye view a lot more and look at the whole strategic outlay. One of the things that I'm known for is scale. And unless I can really scale a business, I'm probably not going to bother with it. That really has a real big thing. It has to be able to scale.
That makes sense. Cool. Very good. So you've done recruitment. You've gone into
badly. Can I just say, done recruitment badly?
Recruitment badly. What was the second one you did?
Recruitment.
Recruitment again? Oh, fucking hell. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Recruitment again.
Recruitment again. Different reason. I went in with a partner.
Okay.
And again, we were doing really, really well. And unfortunately, he was an elder gentleman and got very, very sick. And his estate decided to pull the funding. And at that point, I was kind of like done with recruitment a little bit. So it was a case of, well, let's just call this a day. So we called it a day.
Fair enough. Cool. Very good. And then obviously you had to declare bankruptcy off the back of that as well, right?
I did. Yeah. I mean, this is not just businesses, hitting in. This was personal bankruptcy as well, because obviously, when you're a bankrupt and you've got that tainted stain on your name, you have to put up a lot of collateral as you then move forward to sort of play in the game again.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. I suppose that casts a bit of a black cloud over your head as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of.
I think it probably does. I think it probably did, Adam, if I'm honest. But at the time, again, the arrogancy and the testosterone levels were a lot higher than they are today. And it was the case. It was more of that was an excuse. It was like, well, this is the reason why, because I'll name them anyway. It was Deutsche Bank that screwed us. It was, Deutsche Bank screwed us. It wasn't us. And so it was, push that onto someone else and then you just carry on doing what you're doing. In actual fact, that doesn't work. You've got to look internally as well and go, okay, what were my failings? What did we do wrong? How can we make sure that we war chest that doesn't happen again? Lots of different things. But at the time, ego does get in the way.
Yep, I agreed as well. So in conclusion to your bankruptcies, and as much as they kind of hurt in a way, was those bankruptcies and call of business failures, do you feel that it was a good thing? Do you feel like you've learned more from that than if it didn't happen? What's your thoughts and what's your take on that?
This is where you want the soft, fluffy answer. I know what you're doing.
I don't do soft and fluffy. You know me, Glenn.
I think I'd love to say, yes, it was the right thing to do and everything else. There's still a part of me that is a little bit pissed off by it, I guess, because it would have been very interesting to see where it would have gone. Would it have meant that the self-destruct or the destruction button would have been cataclysmic? Probably. So, if we'd have carried on going with the energy and the ego that was around, not just me, it was about the whole company. We had this bravado around us. It probably would have been a monumental failure because there were key parts of business that I just didn't follow. I just didn't know. I didn't know about invoice discounting or invoice financing, or I just didn't, because I thought, well, we've got so much money, it doesn't matter, and that's not good business acumen. So it probably would have cost me more money later on down the line. The failure would have been bigger. So I always kind of think, and to be spiritual over this, which as you know I'm not, it was maybe God's intervention to try and pull my reins a little bit and just say, slow down, Sonny. And that's what he did. And then when I didn't listen and try to do it for a second time, he went, no, really listen this time. But the second bankruptcy wasn't as bad as the first, for sure, because there were lessons definitely learned. But it's still a shit position to be in.
Yep, agreed. Interesting. You've kind of used a bit of philosophy there. It's like kind of God's will type of thing. You know, I never saw that coming, but that's interesting. Very interesting. For people that are listening in, and I know that people are going to be listening to the recording as well. For those of them that have already had business failure, or are maybe on that cusp of business failure, or whatever it is, any advice for, especially with people that carry SARS around with them, and they take too many precautions in order to kind of move forward, that holds them back. Any advice there for people in that situation?
I just think just to elevate yourself to bird's eye view and look down on it. Now, I mean, I've gone through mentors, and there's one guy who's my mentor and has been for a long time. And we always talk about problem solving and solution finding to lots of things, world peace, how to educate people, that type of stuff, all the important things. And we both come to the same conclusion that the easiest way of trying to find a solution to a problem is actually taking the time out. That's the first thing. Some call that meditation. I don't. I have a thing called a thinking chair, and I actually literally sit in my thinking chair and I think with my pad and my paper, and whatever comes out comes out. But a lot of the time, if I have a problem or I need to find a solution to something, good and bad, is I'll take the time to really kind of project an attitude or an air or a thought process of that problem solved. And then I go, okay, so how do we get to this solved position? And so I almost do 180 degrees back and look at myself looking forward of what the solution is. And then I walk back the steps, and sometimes I don't have to walk back too far. Sometimes I have to walk back a lot to get me. And then I grab hold of me and I take me into what be the problem solved. And I know that my mentor does that as well. We kind of come from okay, so this is the end goal. This is the solution. How have we got there proposition? And that's the same. If you're going through the position where, look, shit, we could be in a real gnarly situation in terms of a bankruptcy or an administrator getting called in, elevate yourself. Think about, okay, I'm now in a position where my business is bankrupt. What do I now do? And as if you can then think about that, because a lot of people just bury their head, do the whole ostrich situation. And then when it comes along, for me, forewarned is forearmed. And so if you know that this is going to happen, you can deal with it a lot better than just to be this shock and surprise and having to deal with things on more of a dynamic situation.
That makes complete sense to me. Now, interestingly enough, you've moved, you've been in the retail industry for quite a number of years now, and recruitment and retail, two very different industries, I would say, from my perspective. But you've also mastered, I suppose you've mastered a formula from the different types of retail industries based on also duplicated that multiple times over. Tell us the reason why you decided to go into retail. What was the reason for that?
My bloody mentor, yet again. I mean, he was the one that said to me, "You're never going to make a fortune in a business while you're in a business." And of course, everyone thinks that's me as a worker in the business. In actual fact, it isn't. It's about scale. So I think the real first time it happened for me after I'd done the recruitment and was shit at it, I kind of got into the tattooing industry. So in actual fact, to correct you, I'm not called the tattoo tycoon because the percentage of tattoos I have. It's because the number of tattoo studios I own.
Ah,
Someone came along with, "Oh, you're the tattoo tycoon," and it kind of like, "Oh, we think we'll take that. Thanks very much." So, and I was in the cosmetic laser business for a long time, and I sold that business 8 years ago now, and I made a lot of money. Sitting on a beach. I got married again for a second time, and
as you do.
as you do, and bought the Ferrari, and I thought that's me checked out. And I thought, I'm so unfulfilled and bored. What do I do? So I got rid of the Ferrari, I got rid of the sandy shoes, and I got rid of the wife. But it's fine because she's still a good friend, and you know who she is anyway. So she's still a good friend. And I decided to buy businesses. So I'd created brands before and understood that very clear business to consumer proposition in what I would call traditional bricks and mortar businesses. And anyone that's doing that now or is in it and has just started it or is about to go into it, it's fucking hard. It is so hard. And I actually think it's harder to create a bricks and mortar business in 2021 than any other year. But you've got so many more eyes on you that you just become a wash of another brand or another whatever. So you've got to find that key differentiator. That's the first thing. And so we bought, the first thing was coffee shops. Like you said, I bought one and I kept it as an independent coffee shop. I knew nothing about coffee apart from I liked it. And we were buying at about 1.8% of profit. And we managed to get to 26 and we sold the group at 8 times profit. And that's kind of like, okay, well, this actually is a model in terms of how to grow a scalable business is what people don't do. And that is that they go, okay, I want to create a coffee brand or I want to create a coffee shop. So they do the first one, they stop. And they will always be tied to that business or working in that business. Now, even if they remove themselves out of that business and have a manager there, they're still not going to be able to scale or run a business. So I would always say, and you know this, so I get probably between 1 and 5 offers of businesses to buy and invest in a week. And I always look at it and go, okay, that's a great business. That's a really great business. Is it a business or is it a lifestyle job? If it ticks the box of yes, it's a business, it's can that business scale? And if it can scale more than 3 times, so either a shop, can we have more than 3? I'm interested. If it can't, I'm not interested at all. So I'm doing a deal at the moment where we had a conversation, funny enough, yesterday, and we're looking to take it'll be a bricks and mortar business, but we're looking to launch that over in America, and we're looking at 200 locations within 12 months.
Wow,
so
huge.
That's how it has to scale realistically now to turn me on. Because otherwise I'm like, yeah, okay, it's great. But don't get me wrong. Every single unit is a great business, but it's a lifestyle business, not a business.
Yeah.
So yeah, the scalability of the business is massive. I don't think we dream big enough anymore. People just go, I want a business, and they do it, and they go, oh, no, great. And you go, yeah, but how many have you done? And funnily enough, as you well know, most people, what they now do is they create a business and then become a coach or a mentor. And I'm like, how many of your coffee shops have you done? Oh, just the one. And now you're going to tell me how to run my business. No, it doesn't work like that. You know, you need to fail, you need to learn, you need to scale. Do you know how to get a business ready to scale? It's tough, So I think people now are a lot more. They think they know everything a lot more than even I did, I guess, in some ways.
It sounds like you haven't really lost that appetite for. I suppose not. I'm not going to use the word success because it's just too generic. But you haven't really lost that appetite of continuing to be hungry. Do you know what I mean?
No, I don't think I have. But I think what I've done is I've focused on what's important, of why I'm doing what I do. Realistically, in my early 40s, that was me done. financially retired for life. That's it, done. And why did I not do that? Why did I not just stay there? It's, I had more to do. I've helped over 320 businesses hit £1 million turnover. I'd like to hit 1,000 businesses in my lifetime. So that's kind of a little sneaky, unofficial goal, I guess, hitting £1 billion worth of turnover.
It.
And also, there's so much opportunity. In the same way, I think it's harder to create a bricks and mortar business in 2021, and probably 2022 is going to be very tough. I also think the opportunity has never, ever been greater. And I think that of all the bad that COVID had, now we're coming out of that. And the sooner the fucking better this UK government gets their arse into gear, then the opportunity is vast. It's almost like we've had a reset. And those guys that have bettered themselves, worked on their businesses, educated themselves, looked at different markets, whether they've even looked at Bitcoin over the last 6 months or year and a half, in that lockdown process. Once they've understood something a bit more, I think it will just do them fantastic dividends moving forward.
Yep, very good. Last question before we go. And one thing that I think you've begun to master, especially over the years of experience that you've had, and you brought up a very good point here, and you talked about if you've got like an individual business owner that may have had just like one coffee shop or whatever it is, they get stuck into what I call a cycle or a vortex. They get stuck into a business cycle and then they just can't get out of that. They stay there for months, if not years. Yeah. But my question is letting go. How have you made that journey of letting go help? I mean, you've really kind of looked at business as a whole synopsis, from looking at systems, but how to try to transition yourself out of the business. Any tips for some of our listeners with regards to letting go of the business? Because it's really difficult to let go of something which is essentially, especially when you've in the blood, sweat, and tears into a business, right? And it becomes like an emotional burden on you. It's like an attachment, like a baby, right? And you don't want to let this thing go, because if you let go, it's like you lose control type of thing. What's your take on that?
You're not going to like my take on this. It's fucking horrible. And I've had to learn to do it. So I remember the real first time it happened. I created a tattoo studio. Yeah. And I was the guy that painted the walls and, cleaned the toilets. And I was there on front reception every day. 2.5 years later, I'm walking into the studio and no one's talking to me. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I just felt like a complete stranger in my own business. This was the first one that we did. And by that time, I think it was about 2.5 years in. So we'd done 2 more by then. And I was getting the right arse. I was thinking, right, I'm going to have to call a staff meeting. So I called a staff meeting and I said, right, come on, what have I done? What have I done wrong? And they went, why are you here? And I went, because it's my bloody business. And they were like, yeah, but you don't tattoo. I'm like, no. And they said, so why are you here? You know what we do. You trust us to do a really good job. We're winning awards. We're fully booked for 6 months in advance. We don't break anything. If we need something, we order it. What you do really well, Glenn, is you do all the marketing, you do all the accounts, you do all the business generation, and we make sure when it comes in is that we service that. So you have a role, but it's not in the studio. And I went, oh. And it was literally, that moment was like, it was almost getting told to get out of my own shop. And it was, it's a kick in the ego. And I walked away and I thought, actually, if I don't do this, this is going to stifle the business too much. So that's the first thing, is ask the question. If you're feeling that, what's it feel like? It's horrible, but you've got to do it. The second, there's 3 parts to this. The second part is I've got a lot of staff, clearly. And I've had staff that have been with me for 7 years. I think my longest one's been with me. And and I do trust them and everything else. However, just remember this one simple thing, is that it's not their business, it's your business, and therefore they're going to break things and they will lie about it, and they're going to steal from you at some point. Now, that might be they might steal a toilet roll because they haven't got any at home, or it might be £1,000. If you have the mindset of they're going to steal from me, and every day they don't is a bonus, which is a really cynical way of talking, but it's very, very true, because not every single person will do it. And therefore, you're probably going to be more surprised when it does happen, because it's so abnormal. But never think that no one's going to do that to you. And never think that a client's never going to try and claim something or create a drama or everything else. So make sure you have a nice war chest of money to help out with the legal, and you're well insured. You know, I told you I'd be honest, and it's the honesty. And the third thing is that when you get bigger, realize what you're really fucking good at. So I break everything down into £1,000 jobs, £100 jobs, and £10 jobs. I am phenomenal. I'm the world's best at £1,000 jobs. I'm fairly okay at some £100 jobs, and I'm god awful at £10 jobs. So find staff that are really good, that are at the tens and the hundreds, and leave you to do the thousands. And then guess what happens? It then scales up. So now I don't do £1,000 jobs. I do £10,000 and £100,000 jobs. So make sure you've got the staff to backfill that. And the last little bonus one here, I said there was 3. There's actually a 4th one. Get yourself someone, and I have Kate Keys, who's my media director here. Kate knows me inside out, and she predicts things that I'm going to react to before it actually happens, and stuff just runs like butter. So, and I know that if I didn't have Kate, my life would be a lot harder, but also we wouldn't, as a group of companies, wouldn't be as successful. So you do need someone like me, I guess, to be the figurehead and to drive forward. But you also need what we call in the army a good second in command, a good 2IC. And Kate is a phenomenal 2IC. So get yourselves a good 2IC. There's my little bonus one.
Love it. Or as I like to call it, right-hand man or right-hand woman.
Right-hand person, I think, is the right political one. But, you know, Kate's just phenomenal. She's really, really good.
Very good. Love it. Really interesting conversations, and I'm sure we could talk for hours. Listen, guys. What was going to say, if you'd like to connect with Glenn, you could do so by connecting with him. LinkedIn probably the best way, is it, mate, for you? Just
Google Tattoo Tycoon, you'll find me.
Yeah, you'll find him regardless. You'll just look for some ugly bald guy. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. And there you go, you see. Or you can come and hang out you can follow Glenn actually on Clubhouse. He is on Clubhouse, Glenn Flashman. And sometimes he's available, sometimes he's not available to come and join our rooms. But when he does, I can tell you now, it is so much fun. We have so many great conversations. We do. We bounce off each other. And for those egotistical people that are out there that like to come into our club rooms, Glenn is probably one of the very few people that steps up. He gets in there, but even before I get in there, and says, "Whoa, Sonny Jim, that's not how we roll, right?" So, and that's what I love about Glenn, because he's always looking out for other people, especially when you've got a great relationship. He's a teddy bear, really, by the way. He's not as fearful as, you know, some people might thinking he's out to be. But listen, I just want to say thanks very much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, mate. Much appreciated, and have a good rest of the day.
Very good. Listen, guys, hope to see you up on the next show next week, 6 p.m. UK time. We'll be back on here, the Game Changer Show, with my good friend, Stefan, who is one of our book authors as well. So he's going to be joining us and looking at from HR perspective. So listen, have a great week, and we'll see you again. From me and Glenn, take care. See you soon.
Hey, you guys, I just want to say thank you so much
for listening in to this episode of the Game Changers Experience. I hope that you got some amazing value, some great insights, and golden nuggets that you can implement into your business straight away. I would really, really appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review on the button below. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.